I'm George Reister. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is the Pac-12 Apostles. We just had the conference championship game. We know what bowl games everybody is going to. The Pac-12 honors have come out, and some of them we agree with, some of them we don't. Deion is in Boulder, Colorado. The college football playoffs, the Heisman, man, and the transfer portal is pop-a-locking. And that's what we got to talk about today. Do not forget to send your emails. I'm Mad, IMMAD at unafraidshow.com, and leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. And yeah, we will go from there. But when we start today, we had the Pac 12 championship game. USC lost to Utah for the second time. And I got a call on Saturday night, or no, actually on Sunday morning. Sorry, it was Saturday night. And someone was like, man, USC, they're going to get penalized for having to play a 13th game. And I'm like, no, they're not being penalized. They lost the game that they needed to win. But they're like, but the other teams didn't have to play. Now, there is an element to that, right? But also, we've seen teams who've had championship games rise and jump into the top four because they got the opportunity to play that game as well. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And yes, USC was negatively impacted by having to play another game, but so were other teams. Like sometimes you got to win, and it's the fashion that you lose in sometimes too. Like TCU lost by a touchdown. I'm sorry, they lost by a field goal in overtime to a good team. Had Michigan lost to Purdue, we might be talking about a whole different can of worms. If they lose to an unranked Purdue, bro, that could be a major problem. So, do you think USC got shafted by not getting into the college football playoff? Because I do not.
No, no, I don't. But I think that if USC fans want to have a grievance about this, they absolutely can. Um, I don't subscribe to the idea that the four best teams should get in. I think you should have to play the schedule in front of you, but I also don't subscribe to the whole thing of like if you earn another game and you earn the opportunity to prove something, or in USC's case, to get a team back, you should probably do that. If Michigan had got bounced out, then this whole thing would be a joke. But I thought that TCU and USC were at risk. I really did. TCU gets in, USC does not. They lost to the same team twice, and the second time that team they lost to went on a 44-7 run.
Yes. So, okay, now let's talk about that 44-7 run. Because
Yes.
USC people, there's a consensus amongst them. The only reason why they lost is because Caleb Williams got hurt, even though he threw for over 360 yards and three touchdowns. I do not subscribe to that theory, Ralph. Not even a little bit. And it's honestly, it's kind of exhausting because the reason why they lost, number one, they gave up 47 points. First, don't give up 47 points, first and foremost. Second of all, Utah was busting coverage in the beginning of the game. Like, it wasn't anything that Lincoln Riley schemed up. It wasn't any magic play from Caleb Williams, even though he did do a good job of hitting the guys. They were wide open, like they were literally busting coverage. And then Utah stopped busting coverage, and USC, and then the other reason, USC did a piss poor job of tackling. Like, they did not want to tackle. They were,
Except on one play.
oh yeah, when
Except on
they
one
when
play.
when they tried to decapitate Cam Rising.
Yeah, when Raylan Goforth, how funny would it be if Raylan Goforth ends up in Utah because he's in the portal now?
Mm.
But like Raylan Goforth absolutely stuck Cam Rising with maybe the best hit I've seen this year. That was awesome. And Cam
Yep.
Rising getting right back up made it even cooler.
Yes, I mean part of the reason why it looks so bad is because quarterbacks don't always strap their helmets up like as tight as you probably should. I even talked to my own son about this. So yeah, it looked way worse, but that was a good clean football hit. Even if he got hurt, there would not have been anything nefarious or bad about it. But I just think that USC people, they cried about the Utah game. Cried about it. Oh my God. The first one is so like, we got cheated. The refs cheated us. You gave
I
up
would have,
43 points.
yeah, but I also would have been crying about that if I was a USC fan.
Utah fans were they could have been upset about a safety that should have been called on a holding penalty. These are Pac-12 refs. This was not anything nefarious against USC. It's just what you get in the conference sometimes.
Yeah.
So and then you go to the college football, I mean you go to the conference championship game. You have everything in front of you and you blow it. And they were acting like Caleb Williams, who had been phenomenal all season, was like he needed to get medevaced after the game. You're like, come on, bro.
No, no, no. After about 3 series of not being able to use his feet, he figured things out. He
Yep.
started slinging it all over the field. Now, I saw a side of Caleb Williams in this game that made me like him even more, even
Yes.
though I think public opinion on him might have soured because of the nail stickers and the being upset after the game. But being upset after the game, like, it happens. He doesn't like losing. There's a lot of guys like that really hate to lose. I
Yeah.
saw a lot of people making Max Duggan into some kind of a hero because he was crying after the game in front of the media, but Caleb Williams is crying with a towel over his head on the bench, and you don't hear the things that are coming out of his mouth because he's not talking to the press or anything, but he's a sore loser. And I don't I think maybe some people were projecting some feelings onto Caleb Williams that aren't fair.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I think the nail stickies were very corny, and this is the
Yes.
exact reason. Very corny. It was corny when he did it against ASU, but at least it wasn't FASU. It was super corny when he did it against Notre Dame. And when he did it against Utah, who is a better team, and we talked about last week on the podcast on how they're a better team. And you pretty much even called that USC was going to score 27 to 31 points, and it wasn't going to be enough for what they were going to give up on defense,
Yep.
which it went that exact way. And then when you get blown out, and you find a football is a team game, your defense has to do something, and they didn't. Those nail stickies end up looking ridiculous. And now that's going to be part of the narrative when you're up there accepting the Heisman. Caleb Williams has got to have somebody in his corner. Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley, who gets, if someone was to tweet what was on Caleb Williams nail stickers, if somebody was to tweet Lincoln Riley that FUSC, he would block them. It's very sensitive,
Yeah.
right? He should know, as a sensitive man, that it's not going to be taken well, especially by the Utah fan base.
Correct.
So I don't know. I had a bunch of people tell me that I was wrong. That's fine. I find it corny, and I think people were thinking that I was talking about the fact that he has a manicure.
No.
Which why am I gonna fault somebody for taking care of their nails and cuticles? Like, I'm the son of a painter. I got cracked hands. I wish I had better nails. Like, I'm not faulting him that. It's the message, because then you're going to go accept the Heisman in front of the whole country, and they're going to be talking about how you put the nail stickers on and then you got humbled. Hopefully he did get humbled. Hopefully,
Yeah.
if he does that in the NFL, he's going to get killed.
Yep.
You really want to be that big of a villain at the NFL level where you have painting cute little messages on your nails to call out the other team?
Yeah, it's just a bad look. It's just corny. Like it's not dope. And that's who Caleb Williams is. He is kind of corny, but he's super talented. He is crazy talented, but as far as the kids, they don't look at Caleb Williams like some style icon or that, like what he wants to be and portrayed as in terms of his brand. It's not received it with the kids the same way, if that makes sense.
No. And if he keeps doing the nail stuff, he's gonna he's gonna get the Kyler reputation that he's the toddler with the knife, the running toddler with the knife in that video. He's the little kid that you can't get control of. I personally, to me, he was the best player in college football this year, and I believe he deserves the Heisman, and I think he will get it.
Okay, so
What?
now
How do you feel about that?
now let's get into that Heisman talk, right? Because I was frustrated with the Heisman finalists.
Hmm.
I thought if we are like it's so much indicative on where your team finishes and all of this stuff. Like Stetson Bennett is a fine player, but his wins above replacement is way lower than Max Duggan, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, Bijan Robinson, a lot of other players. Dorian Thompson Robinson, a lot of them. So, and this year, I didn't think that we had somebody who was cover to cover, just like, bro, this is no question your Heisman winner. Like,
Hmm.
and this is not a shot against Stetson Bennett at all. But he wasn't one of the four best players. Like, he's literally not even one of the four best players on his team. He's not even one of the four most important players on his team.
Right.
Where like Caleb Williams, the best player on his team. Max
Yes.
Duggan, he's not the best player on his team. Number one, the wide receiver is, but Max Duggan is the most important player on his team.
Yeah.
So, and CJ Stroud, he was really good this year. Their schedule was super light. And he disappeared in a couple games. So like that doesn't mean that he shouldn't win the Heisman or something like that. But if I had to adjudicate over the whole season and how important this dude was to the success, I would probably give it to Caleb Williams, but then I might be second guessing the Max Duggan thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you on that. I think that Max Duggan put together a season that would be Heisman worthy.
Yeah.
But if you put Caleb Williams on that TCU team, they're not having four comeback victories. Those are probably
Mm,
all two touchdown wins. Like,
okay. You are I would say that you are right about that. Now Caleb
I
Williams
have a
can't.
frustration with it
Yeah,
being a
but Caleb
quarterback
Williams
award.
can't do what Max Duggan can do either. Like where like Max Duggan runs the ball a lot and he's built for it tough. Caleb Williams, he ain't sticking his face in there like that, bro.
Well, yeah, twice this season, and I might be wrong on the actual time that this happened, but twice this season, I felt like after a long run, Caleb Williams was physically weakened for the rest of the game.
Yes, I noticed that whenever he had like was running around or whatever and got winded, the next couple throws were bad.
Yeah.
Like when Caleb Williams went on that long run and they were like, "Oh, the delay of game was because he was hurt." No, it was because he was tired.
Yeah. And when you run 80, 90 yards, because he goes side to side also, you get tackled. Dude, you're supposed to do something else that day, much less 20 seconds later. That's
Yep.
insane. I fell over in my kitchen the other day and I was ruined for 3 days. You talk about me running 90 yards at full speed and then getting taken down from behind by a world class athlete. Like, no, that's a month in a hospital bed. He's incredible, but sometimes that stuff does take something out of you. And I do also have a basic frustration with the fact that it's a quarterback award,
Yes.
because you have a guy like Nathaniel Dell who in 2021 had 1,300 yards receiving, and everybody knows he's the best player at Houston, and everybody knows the key to beating them is to stop this one guy. And he comes back and he does it again.
Yep.
Same thing again.
And they act
And
like they
we're
can't
not
see
even going
it.
to hear his name.
Yep.
He should be in New York. He should be in New York. Nathaniel Dell, Houston Cougars. Look him up if you don't know his name. You should know his name, but we only focus on quarterbacks. It's insane.
100% right. Now, Deion Sanders shows up to the Pac 12. Shows up to the Pac 12. leaves Jackson State. And if you want to know my thoughts about it, go on my Twitter, go on Fox Sports Radio Twitter or Instagram, on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. George Reister gave a lot of thoughts on that. But just about him in the Pac-12, his introductory, like the video that they put out of his talk to the team, where he was like, yo, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. Basically saying, get your shit together because, listen, things ain't going to be the way they used to be. And he said some nuggets in there I don't think the kids really necessarily heard. He was like, we ain't wearing no earrings in meeting, no hoodies in meetings. I was like, bro, you're not used to living in Colorado, are you? It's cold as hell outside. like,
You see,
you may have to rethink that hoodie part.
you see one kid in the back row. He's like, no hats next time we meet, and the kid's like, yoink, takes
Yeah.
his hat off,
Yeah.
sits it in his lap. Oh, I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't even know. Yeah. See, I honestly, with those type of rules, I would not go to Colorado to be honest with you.
I did think it was funny because I spent a whole day defending Deion because he came in there and said, like, hit the portal because I'm bringing my luggage and it's Louis,
Yeah.
right? I appreciate, first of all, that's just how they talk in locker rooms, and those aren't his players, and he has no allegiance to them whatsoever. But you think all these other kids in the country are hitting the portal because they want to? Not all of them. They're being told
Oh, yeah.
often by incoming coaches, like, hey, we don't have a spot for you.
If you
And
look at the
so,
majority of people in the Pac-12 who are in the portal, because there are some teams that have a bunch of players in the portal. I'm not talking about Stanford, who has no head coach right now. I'm talking about there are a couple of teams that have kids in the portal, and they were welcomed to get into the portal.
yeah.
Except for
sure.
maybe like two of them they would have wanted to keep.
Like, I mean, Texas A&M got the best class money could buy last year. They got 18 kids in the portal right now.
Yep.
18 scholarship athletes in the portal. If
Now,
you think that
their
a lot
case
of these
is a
guys,
little bit different. Their case is a little bit different.
but they did have some players on their team that were screwing around all year that kind of messed
Yeah.
up the culture of the situation. So it's not surprising to me that you would have that many in, because some of them were probably told, pack your bags, is not a home for you here anymore. You're going to be like, because we're going to bring in somebody better than you next year, and you didn't do anything to earn it this year. This is a conversation that is had. What I always hate is that the players, that for a couple of years there was this shame where the players had to be like, after much thought and prayer, I'm entering my name into the transfer portal. When the truth is, they had no other choice.
Yep.
Especially if there was a coaching change, you can go to school for free, but you can't play football. So because they can come in and they can just cut you. With the transfer portal, you if it's not a new coach, you could stick around and make their life a living hell if you want to. I don't know why you would do that, but you could just stick around if you want to. And for the most part, that they'll find a way to get you off the team, I'm sure. But you could stick around. When a new coach comes in, they can just cut you. They have to honor your academic scholarship, but they don't have to keep you around the team.
Yep.
And so, I did not have a major reaction to that, because I was like, oh, it's good for people to see how they actually talk in locker rooms and the attitude that coaches actually bring in, because that wasn't a Deion thing. That's a every coach that comes in thing. Then the next day, they cut their whole incoming class. The kids who hadn't even been on campus yet, the whole class, every single one of them that had been committed.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that, because there is a kid, a quarterback that plays at West Ranch, who used to be at Sierra with my kids. His name is Ryan Staub, and he transferred out, and he lit it up this year. Now he is supposed to be going to Colorado. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of people that were committed to a 1-11 school that didn't have a head coach. They committed to a 1-11 school that did not have a head coach. And 2 weeks out from early signing day,
should he honor those is the question.
Yes, because Rick George,
I believe so too.
Rick George told those guys. A couple of them, he told those guys that they weren't going to get cut and to stick it out. So these players had conversations with the university.
So
athletic director.
on 24/7, all those kids are still committed. as of this point. So, do you think that they're going to get re-offered and Rick George is going to honor that, or do you think that
No,
he's going to? Oh,
no,
okay.
I wouldn't want to. I
That was a
wouldn't want to
quick
be there,
answer.
but no, I wouldn't want to be there. But it was like 10 kids yesterday that were like, call. Then they were honest about it on Twitter. Colorado has decided not to honor my scholarship. One kid was like, Colorado decided not to honor my scholarship, even though Rick George had me hang on for the last 9 weeks, telling me this wouldn't happen. And in that kid's bio, and I'm not going to name the kid, in that kid's bio is one thing. It says Jesus is king. And one of the things that frustrates me is because you have Deion Sanders coming to Colorado saying that God told him to. And there's going to be people outside the Christian faith that are watching this saying, is the God of the universe ordering your leaps or is he ordering your steps?
Yep.
Because I know if God might have told you to go to Colorado, but God certainly didn't tell you to tell this Christian kid who serves the same God as you to kick rocks after your boss told him he shouldn't have to. So
Yes.
I spent a whole day defending Deion, and then on the other side, I'm like, man, I'm I'm a person of faith. I believe that Deion is out here doing a net positive for the youth of America, and he's been a part of my life as long as I can remember. He's my favorite dual sport athlete of all time, and probably the coolest guy since Muhammad Ali to ever suit up in any sport. However, please don't use the creator of the universe, in my view, in my religion, and the savior of my life, in my view, and my religion, to
Okay.
justify
Oh,
doing these business decisions.
yes. Yes. And Ryan Staub specifically, he said he's taking an official visit to SMU this weekend. Vanderbilt's came to come watch him throw a day or two ago. They're probably going to offer. He's like, bro, I haven't heard from Deion yet as of the 5th. And he was like, listen, you know what I'm not going to do? Oh, and he said Stanford as well. So you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to be left out here in the cold. I'll tell you that much. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Six players decommitted yesterday. Jamari Holman decommitted uh, today. I know Bryce Smith decommitted yesterday. Julius Coates decommitted. No, that not Julius Coates. I'm an idiot. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just Wesley Watson. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot, and so um, it's gonna be interesting because you know what do you do if you're Rick George? Rick George, Wesley Watson is one of those players that um, I don't know. I don't know. The Wesley Watson thing. I wish we could just cut this whole thing because the Wesley Watson thing happened before Deion. I'm blaming Deion for somebody who's going to Kansas State. It has um, nothing to do with Deion. But uh, Eddie Schultz, there's a bunch of these guys.
Yeah. And they,
Everyone's going to forget about this. Literally, everyone is going to forget about this a couple of weeks from now. Hopefully, all these kids get spots. I had somebody in my mentions that was like, "This happens all the time. What's a big deal?" And I'm not the whole class, not 2 weeks before, because now they're competing with who they thought were going to be their teammates for extra spots elsewhere.
yep,
I don't know. It's a mess.
definitely is. So, but he may have an impact on the Pac-12 media negotiations on some level, probably, right?
I would think so. Overall, I'm not meaning to
Yeah.
crap on Deion. I'm excited to have him here.
I
Um,
actually think that you're going to have a fair amount of people that go to Colorado and they're like, this ain't right for me. Because I'm going to tell you, I would not sign up. I would not sign up to go there. Like playing for Deion sounds exciting, but I really want to see how good he is as a coach. The same way
yeah,
as I would want to see any other, like, we don't have the sample size for him. Like, yes, at the FCS, but he had better players. Like, I mean, it was literally like Alabama playing uh, Vanderbilt.
yeah. And you would be going to Boulder, Colorado, to be an extra in the Deion Sanders show.
Yes. Now there is some positives to that in that the pressure is going to be on him as opposed to you, but I do think that that's going to be an interesting aspect of it too about how the star power is handled with the players versus Dion.
Right. Colorado having the super liberal Pac-12 having a relationship with Barstool, which is not illiberal, but it's not the friend of the cancel culture, certainly.
You are yes.
That's going to be interesting. Um, the media circus is going to be interesting, but I think the smart thing for Colorado here is when they say what's the worst that could happen, it includes just being right back where they're at right now.
Yes. Yep. So now we were talking about the transfer portal yesterday, and we wanted to put a pin in the conversation for this podcast.
Yeah.
So to take it back, Ralph tweeted out a tweet that generated some reaction from people, and essentially tell me if I am right in saying what you said. So Ralph is essentially saying that the people who cover college football, some of them have transferred so much energy into reporting on the transfer portal that
Yes.
that transfers the reaction, the negative reaction that so much of the information is met with is then like it's good for their business, but it's like you believe that it could have a negative impact on how people view college football.
Yeah, I equated the transfer portal coverage to Donald Trump coverage. Like when 2015, Donald Trump comes down the escalator and announces that he's running for president, and half the country was like, "What?
Yeah.
Like what? We don't care.
Yeah.
He's a bloviating TV guy with a bunch of failed businesses who never pays his contractors." That was the reaction, the
Yeah.
initial reaction. And then you had a 16-person Republican primary. And during that process, the media coverage was so obsessed. It was so focused on Donald Trump that it kind of helped raise his star a little bit, but at the expense of a bunch of people who never wanted to hear his name once, getting to the point where it literally did not matter. And trust me, I'm not saying that he was, but he could have been the greatest president of all time, and it never would have mattered. There was 60% of the population of the country, regardless of whether they voted or not, like hated the guy, right?
Yeah.
They hated the guy. And I'm including a bunch of people under 18 who don't vote, who just hated us for electing him, right? So that that you have that going on.
Okay.
Uh and and at the same time, toward the end of it, the media was just like, we're so sick of Trump. We're so sick of it. We're so sick of it. We get that
Yeah, but
everybody
you're
hates it.
not
We
though.
hate that we haven't talked about it. First of all, you
You
capitalized
don't
on
have to talk about it. You can talk about something else.
you realize that the coverage that you were giving him created engagement, which fueled and funded your business, but the engagement was negative,
Okay.
right? So that
So
was Trump. So I'm looking at transfer portal coverage, and I'm looking at all these companies dedicating resources into covering the transfer portal, and all that I see is that people freaking hate the direction of college football. They hate it. You have some people that are like, yeah, well, it is what it is. More power to the kids. But you also have a lot of people who are like, I wanted the kids to have power, but I didn't want this. I didn't want it to turn to this. And so I'm seeing a
every
ton of
negative,
engagement,
yep. See,
a lot of
everything
engagement.
has a like it's like the a man's strengths flow from the same well as his weaknesses. So now I love players having that access. And there was going to be some negative parts to it. So I just don't let the negative parts bother me because I'm a college football fan. And people who are college football fans, they're not going to tune out because of the transfer portal. They're not.
I
They are going to be
disagree.
upset, bothered by it. But you know what? What they're going to do is adjust their expectations because college football already, like you knew you didn't get these dudes for a long time. Like they were going to come in as freshmen, probably redshirt, the majority of them, and then you would get them as fandom for like 2 years, even though that they would be there for 3 to 5 years. You were really only going to get 2 years to really cheer for them anyway. Three if you were blessed. and they were just super good, and something happened, and they decided to stay. Like if you get 3 years out of a starting NFL, I mean, out of a starter who's a star, you have you have been very very fortunate. So I believe that fans are going to adjust their expectations and maybe their attachment to the players, that they're going to detach from the players but then still lean into the team that they cheer for.
And I don't know if that I don't know if that's true. And one of the things that we were talking that you brought up was there was a lot of NFL fans that said that they were done with football when the Kaepernick stuff was going down.
Yeah,
But
and
my
it
whole thing
wasn't
about
true.
that is, but the Kaepernick stuff wasn't related to the on field product. And we see sports grow and drop in popularity all the time. And the idea that it can't happen to college football, uh, to me is absurd because you have a large group of fans who were college football fans and they were college football fans for 40, 50 years, right? And things were the same for 40, 50 years, but in the last 5 to 10 years things have radically and rapidly evolved.
Yeah,
You
but
have a
if
lot
you
of
love
college football
college
fans
football, you're not going to stop loving college football. You just
unless
don't.
it stops being college football. I'm
How
telling
does
you,
it
it's the
stop?
product.
It,
There are a
it's
lot of
still
people
the
that watch
university versus the universities. Like the
in
game
some
hasn't
ways.
changed.
For the fans of the laundry who don't care who shows up either way, that's fine. But it's getting to the point where being a casual fan is harder and harder. And you'll at least admit this, George, without a 24/7 or on three or Rivals subscription, which I work for an affiliate of Rivals, without a subscription to one of these things, it's getting almost impossible to keep up with
Getting
who is on your team.
getting dude, I was looking at the portal list yesterday from Oregon. Mind you, I follow these things very closely, and I was like, and somebody finally put out just a detailed list which continues to update at a minute. And you text me the other day and you were like, oh, Jay, oh, do you need a minute to mourn about Jay Butterfield? I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know the kid was in the portal that day. So Jay Butterfield, Brian Cardwell, Sean Dollars, Dante Thornton, Seven McGee, Bram Walden, Brady Swinson, Jackson LeDuc, Justin Flo, Brandon Buckner, Jabril McNeil, Terrell Tillman are all in the portal.
That's
I
a lot.
I would not have known that they were all in the portal.
But what's going to happen for you, George? And here's where I'm not sure that you see what I'm talking about. What's going to happen to those roster spots at Oregon? Who's going to fill them?
Somebody from other teams.
Dudes, though, right?
Yeah, like
Okay.
proven players.
Okay. I am from Sheridan, Wyoming. What's going to happen to my Cowboys? Who's going to fill those spots for my Cowboys when Xavier
High
Valade?
school students.
Right. So we get Xavier Valade, but the second that he blows up, he gets to go to ASU, and then his backup rushes for over 1,000 yards this year. His name is Titus Swen. You will recognize him when he plays for somebody else because he's in the portal right now. So
You guys are a farm system.
right,
You guys are a farm
why do
team.
people want? Nobody wants to be a triple A college football fan. Do you not think do you not think that do you think it was Mark Emmert alone? Because you and I were calling for the same changes as loudly and as often as we could.
Yeah,
That this pie has grown and grown and grown, but the slice that is dedicated to the labor that actually provides the entertainment does not grow. And
correct.
we gnashed our teeth and tore our clothes and cursed the heavens, and finally we got that change. But do you not think that Mark Emmert had legions of people who agreed with him? And
Yes.
I think that the college football fan that is 50 and younger, the people our age, is saying, well, those people are just going to die, so they're going to have to deal with it until they die. Like, no, a large portion of the people that fund and make college football and made college football what it was happen to be in their 60s and 70s, hate the direction of college football. And I believe once they decide that college football isn't college football, there are people who watch on Saturday and don't even check in on Sunday. Those people exist. And if those people feel like you are Sundaying my Saturday, they're going to walk away. So all
Nope.
I'm asking for is for the people that cover college football that have an addiction to immediate engagement to maybe put less attention on the transfer portal and put more attention on telling players stories, because that's the way that you're going to get people to stick around and still root for these kids, is if they know who these kids
No,
are.
dude, you
And it's
are
getting harder and
missing it.
harder.
Oh my God, you are missing it, dude.
What
The
you're telling
transfer
me,
portal is a
what you're
soap.
telling me,
It is a soap opera. It is Donald Trump, like you were saying. It's a soap opera, and we can't turn away. We're like, God, it gives us something to be mad about. It's like watching Fox News or CNN. It's fear porn, dude. It
college
is fear
football,
porn.
college football was a break from that shit. It was a break. And now it isn't. Now you have to be so invested just to keep
That's
up.
good for the game. That is good for the game. That makes people just that much more invested. And now, and truthfully, it's actually motivated people. Oh my God, we got to start a collective. Let's micro donate so we can get our players. Now, I do think that you have a very, very, very valid point about the farm system teams, about the NAUs, the Wyomings, the uh, the Nevadas of the world, the Sun Belt teams, and
Right.
that when they have a player that's a dude, they're gonna be like, I can go get the money and I'm out of here. But the thing is, bigger, better dealing does not always work, because we've seen plenty of people who were in that situation go to places and it don't work out like you thought it was going to work out. I mean, okay. Look at Brendan Rice at UCL at USC. Is he better off with what happened at USC this year than having stayed at Colorado?
That's a tough one, because
But that's what I'm saying.
he's 2 points away from being in a college football playoff. He'd have been languishing
Yeah,
on a
but he's not.
111 roster this
Yeah,
year.
but he's not. But that's it is I'm talking about personally in terms of whatever his own personal goals are. I get that some of it was about winning and losing, right?
Yes. Well, here's the deal. There are a lot of kids who will always have to learn the lesson about pond size. They always will. And they
Look at
do
the
learn
kid at
that lesson.
Arizona, Singer. I was like, why the hell is he in the portal? He's in the Pac-12. He's probably going to end up at Oregon, which hey, Singer, come on in. Since you
But here's the
decided
deal.
to do
He
that,
never got
welcome.
recruited. He's an Arizona walk-on, so he wants to go through the recruiting process. That one I understand. He's
I
never been
don't.
through the
He
recruiting
had
process.
a good spot. He's catching balls. Nobody's going to take his spot. Like, it's going to be him and T-Mac.
I get, and I'm sure you can parse
Sometimes
down
when you
each one of these
try to,
individual situations. But you figure all these kids are supposed to be learning this big fish in a small pond lesson when they come from their high schools, if they're not at a super school or a private school that recruits or whatever, that they are the big fish in the small pond, and then they learn that lesson by going to college and realizing that there's dudes everywhere. But when you go to a place like you said, NAU or Wyoming or whatever, you don't necessarily learn that lesson because you're still performing at a high level. You want to see if you can it's just like Deion did. Just like Deion from Jackson State to Colorado, you want to see if you can challenge yourself at the highest level. I get that. However, it will come at the cost of alienating fans. It just will. If you are a feeder team, it's going to be harder and harder to and you can always energize a fan base with a coaching search and yada yada yada, but I'm talking about these donors who never wanted it to go in this direction. Some people are going to be in and they're going to donate to NIL and stuff like that, but I do think a lot of people are going to walk away from the game of college football because it wasn't the game that they loved.
nope.
So you don't believe it. You see it on the timeline every day that people don't like the direction of college football, but you
Yeah.
think they're going to spend the next 20 years complaining and check in every Saturday.
It is just like what happens anytime there is a ton of significant change. There is, dude. I was reading papers about what happened when seatbelts became mandatory. Like people were outraged, and that was just one change. I remember when they stopped allowing you to smoke in buildings. Oh, it was outrage. Like any time that there is major and significant change, there's always pushback. But you know what, dude? There were people that were like, "Oh, the expanded playoff, I'm out on it. The regular season, bro, you will be okay. You will adjust. It will the it. We're in the rip the band-aid off phase. When you rip a band-aid off, it still hurts, and you're like and then I'll tell you that. Oh, okay, I'm better now. As opposed to if you slowly pull that thing off. Listen, we are in the rip the band-aid off phase. And in a year, 2 years, this will be the new normal, and everybody will adjust until some other like seismic change happens in 10 years, whatever that may be.
Well, I don't think things are going to go back. I don't think things are going to go back at all. I'm not
No, they're
asking for
not
things to
going
change
back.
back.
These ain't the
What
good
I'm
old
saying
days.
is, what I'm saying is, if you are a media or content creating entity, do not sacrifice the long-term health of the business for short-term engagement.
We talk about the transfer portal, baby.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine to talk about it, but the
Yeah.
way that some of these
Yeah.
people are leaning in to the
Yeah, yeah.
thing that is
Yeah, I
making
do.
people say they're going to quit, I believe these people. I believe them.
I do not believe them.
Okay.
You need more people. All right. The conference put out its awards for Pac-12 Coach of the Year, their conference teams. Now, interestingly enough, there were no Arizona people on the all Pac-12 teams.
We got a punter. Oh, Arizona like
Yes.
Wildcats?
Yes.
Yeah, that especially offense, that makes no sense.
Yeah, and Arizona State got two. They got a punter and Xavier Valade on second team. You had who else was under? Oh, Colorado. Did they have anybody?
Uh no.
No. Yeah, Colorado wasn't represented, and that was it. Those are the only people that got shut out. But before we get to the actual players, Coach of the Year, Co-Coach of the Year, Kalen DeBoer and Jonathan Smith. Are you okay with that?
Um sure. There was some.
It would not have been a co for me.
Who's your coach of the year?
Jonathan Smith. Dude, he won 9 games without a quarterback. It
But
like
I think
like
they but I think they also did what was probably expected of them.
nobody expected them to win 9 games. Nobody expected them to beat Oregon. Some of it was them going for two to beat Stanford, the miracle to beat Oregon. Like, granted, some of that happened, but Kalen DeBoer pretty much inherited a solid base of a roster, got Michael Penix Jr. So I'm not diminishing anything that he did. I thought he did a fantastic job. And I knew that Nebraska was going to be trying to court him and that Washington was going to have to give him a new contract all damn ready. But I thought I'm not a guy, so I'm picking one, and my one would have been Jonathan Smith and then Kalen DeBoer too.
Okay. I do not have an issue with them splitting. I think the coach of the year is probably um you could argue Kyle Whittingham, but also recovering from mistakes that Kyle Whittingham made. so,
Yeah.
so, yeah, but no, I don't have an issue with that. What do you think? Offensive Player of the Year, Caleb Williams. You good there? Since he's probably
What
going
were
to get the Heisman.
what were like my other options?
Well, I mean,
Michael Penix
your
Jr.
guy Bo and Michael Penix Jr. had massive years.
Yeah, but I'm gonna lean into the guy who ended up in the conference championship game and who was absolutely, like, the numbers are insane. He was really
Yeah.
good. Like, I have no problem with Caleb Williams as offensive player of the year.
Tuli Tuipulotu was like super obvious
Yeah, yeah.
with
That
like a
was that was
Clark Phillips
in
distance technique.
other news. Water is wet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Freshman of the year, I thought was a little scandalous. First of all, I thought Damian Martinez was the most over awarded player in the conference. Like him, like what he's done, but I would not have made him freshman of the year
Okay, who would
over
you have given it to?
your boy uh, at Arizona,
Yes.
who led the
Yes.
conference in receiving
T
touchdowns.
Mac. T
Yes,
Mac should have been the offensive freshman of the year. 100%. Yes. So, and Damian Martinez was good, but yeah, no. Nope. Nope.
he Damian Martinez, like in the presentation of the award to Damian Martinez, they said that they said he needs 30 yards to become
Yes.
the fourth OSU freshman to reach 1,000. Like, cool, but he didn't get it yet.
Correct.
We already gave
Exactly.
him the award for something he might do in the bowl game.
Yeah.
So
Might.
didn't like that. Defensive freshman player of the year, Lander Barton. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That was exactly my stance to it. Sure. Okay.
There weren't a ton of guys that that performed as a freshman on the defensive side of the ball.
You could have went with uh, David Hicks over at Washington State.
Yeah.
I thought that I could have made a case for him as well.
Yeah. With the all conference teams, I want to point something good out before we complain. The DBs on the first team are, dude, there's 4 dudes. Like, that is a good, if you rolled out Clark Phillips, Christian Gonzalez, Mekhi Blackman, and Rajon Wright, like, give me that as an NFL secondary.
Bro, that yes, because Gonzalez is a surefire first rounder. You have
Clark Phillips probably the second best defensive player in the conference.
ooh, Rajon Wright's pretty damn good, bro.
He's up there.
Yeah,
He's up there for
yeah.
sure.
And I think that all three of those, I think that of those 4, the Blackman is the worst of the 4. But that's like, I'm using the word worst, but he was freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now to complain. Travis Dye and Xavier Valladay
Oh my God.
are going to be mad at Damian Martinez for the rest of their life.
Bro, oh Lord. I just
Are you talking about Bucky Irving?
yes.
I'll throw Bucky Irving in there looking at giving a side eye to Damian Martinez. I'd take any one of those 3 running backs first team over Damian Martinez,
Yes.
who will have his day.
Yes.
I try not to disrespect Damian Martinez, but like, ASU was garbage. If it wasn't for Xavier Valladay,
dude, he was a one man.
He's a monster.
Yeah. You said monster. I couldn't hear you because I was talking at the same time. First thing it sounded like you said is his mom's here.
His mom's here. Yeah, she is. She wants to talk to George Kliavkoff right now.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the wideouts?
I
didn't like Jordan Addison in there only because not because he's not spectacularly talented. He just missed a lot of time.
Yeah, I would say that probably the funniest thing to me is Jacob Cowing, honorable mention. Jacob Cowing's not first team or second team. I think he's better than Singer.
They base that a lot on talent, as opposed to like NFL talent and hype, as opposed to actual production.
Yeah, I like Singer, but I like Cowing more. And Singer got second team, and they probably weren't going to put 3. Okay. T-Mac didn't even get honorable mention.
That's bro, but we see this every year where the defensive freshman of the year wasn't even on the the defensive freshman of the year. Who was it? It was either Sewell. It might have happened to Sewell and to the kid that's at the Giants now from Oregon, from Oaks Christian.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah. I think it happened to both of them, where they were Pac-12 freshmen of the year and then don't end up, and then some other freshman ends up on second team. And you're like, wait, what? How's that possible? I hate it. I absolutely hate it Ben Yurshek at second team tight end. Hated it.
Who would you have?
I would have taken literally any of the Oregon, uh, either Matavau or Ferguson, but probably Ferguson. He's a devastating blocker and he catches the ball and runs. So I think that they're both better than him.
Okay. Uh,
Um,
I I do want to throw in only so I don't want to get too much because they how do they have 7 O linemen on first team? 6. It's 6 O linemen on first team. So to me, the two best offensive lines in the conference were UCLA and Oregon.
yep.
So I wanted to see some representation from UCLA on here. They
Which was
don't.
weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they they got one guy second team, which I thought was pretty wild. Here is the other one though. How much did we dump all over USC's offensive line recruiting under Clay Helton?
Oh, heavily.
Constantly, right?
Yes.
It said none of those guys are ever going to work out. They're all 3 stars. Andrew Voorhees, in a year where they had pretty good O line play in the Pac-12, I wanted to give a shout out to him because he you know he got first team, and Brett Nealon, who was actually a really high level recruit, but is very small, and got hurt in the Pac-12 championship game. I love the way he played this year, and so wanted to give him a shout out as well. On defense, I thought Oregon kind of was a disappointment this year, and so was Washington.
Yeah.
And so to not have any Oregon, we have one Oregon player on the first team defense is understandable, but Washington had 2 players, 2 D linemen.
Yeah, like
That
how
kind of surprised me.
yes. Yeah. Cuz their defense was a sieve.
Yes. And they would have been better had, and I love Braylon Trice, but like they would have been better if they had actually gotten to the early in the season, had gotten to the quarterback a little bit more. They kind of came on as the season went on. But overall, this is a better year than most.
Yeah.
Usually, Pac-12 voters
Yeah.
really mess this
Yeah,
up.
and you're like, how the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, running back's my primary issue. Um, a lot of good running backs, and to
Yeah.
not even, and then the T Mac thing. Like, what did T Mac do to people?
Yeah.
He was the best, I think, the
Whoop
highest
they
rated
ass up.
recruit,
Yes, in Arizona history.
and might have been the highest rated recruit to go to a Pac-12 school.
No. No. Pretty sure no. Hold up.
I'll
Let
check
me
that. I'll check that.
No, go on. I can check that super easy. I have that
Okay.
right up on my handy dandy. Oh, if I click the right button. All right. Now while I'm looking that up, so if I go back to 2022, if my handy dandy, okay, so highest rated Pac-12 recruit was Joshua Joshua Connerly,
Oh, that's right.
who went to
That's right.
Oregon. And then after that, oh my God, it's just Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia,
I'm
Alabama, Texas.
guessing. I'm guessing you're on 24/7.
Yes,
Okay, I'm on Rivals. Obviously, company man. He is the high. He was the number 12 overall player in the country. He was the highest rated player to commit to a
yeah,
Pac-12
and
school
then he was
through
next
Rivals.
on TC on Oregon's thing too,
Was he a 4 star on 24/7 or a 5 star?
4 star.
Okay, so T Mac 4 star on 24/7, 5 star on Rivals. On Rivals, the highest rated kid to come in. I would say exceeded expectations
Yeah. Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
gets no postseason awards from the Pac-12 media. That is how you screw up your job. Your job is to acknowledge this, like for the
Yeah,
health
but the
of the
coaches
Pac-12
vote
over
on these
time.
things though. Yeah, but the coaches vote.
Oh, fire everybody then. What coaches? Herm's not even here anymore. Who's voting?
Who voted for Stanford and who voted for?
They chase down Carl Durrell?
Oh my God.
Who the hell is voting for this stuff?
I didn't even think about that.
It better.
That's three fired coaches. Sorry, 2 fired coaches, 1 resigned coach.
Hey, so just a touch on Stanford. Who would you like to see get that job? Wish list it. Don't even be realistic.
Chip Kelly or Chris Peterson.
I would love to see Harbaugh win a national championship and then go back.
Oh God. Oh. Well, okay. So if he wins a national championship, obviously Michigan fans will be over the moon, especially with how they treated him for a couple
That's why he
years.
got to get out. He's got to leave.
Bro, if he leaves, well, actually, if he leaves, will they be upset or will they feel like Cleveland fans when LeBron left the second time?
Probably that. Probably that. Eventually, but it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
It's never going to get better. It'd be like if James Franklin won at Penn State. I'd be like,
Oh
you got to
Lord, have
get
mercy!
out.
Get out of there immediately before it goes left. All right.
To quote Tyrese, ejecto seat, cuz.
Oh, all right. That is the Pac-12 Apostles for the day. I'm George Reister. He's Ralph Amsden. Peace out. Catch you next week.